What's happening, boys?
It's nice out in Redding.
I know, it sucks we're not fishing today, huh?
Got some good weather right now.
This is these days make like Redding the nicest place in the world, right? Like 60 degrees, sun shining, but there's not.
Feels like spring out there.
Yeah, it's super nice. It's super nice. But we're here to talk about steelhead fishing, right?
Absolutely. My favorite time of the year.
What's been going on over on the Trinity? First of all, let's introduce ourselves. Well, first of all, we haven't done a podcast in fucking like 2 years.
Yeah, back by popular demand.
Back by popular demand. We'll see how this goes. And I don't believe, Trav, did you do one with us before?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the most recent one, I think a year and a half ago.
What did we talk about? I don't remember.
Everything. Too much.
I don't even remember. And then we have DJ here, DJ Spivey. What's up, DJ?
What's happening?
Two of our Trinity guides, and that has been where the both of you have been doing most of your guide days, I believe, so far, or this year, and in December.
'Tis the season.
It's been nice over there, eh?
It's been wonderful. Wonderful year.
Why? What's made it so wonderful?
Lots of water this year. I like the river big the way it is right now. I mean, it was very low to start the year, but fishing was great then. Fishing's good now, so hasn't been many bad days to be had out there.
A lot of fish in the system, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fish around. I feel like I'm seeing more of those like half pounders around this year than I remember the last couple of years. Just like nice kind of in between fish, keep you busy. But it seems like there's a lot of fish around. Water's up though, so fish are spread out. They're not everywhere, but lots of fish around for sure, and some really nice weather coming up.
Yeah, it's like the double-edged sword, right? Like we got last week, it pounded rain for 4 days straight. And it kind of screws the river up maybe for a day or two, but overall, like that's really good. You get too many of these sunny days in a row, and they just kind of start getting stale.
Well, normally when we get these sunny days, the river's kind of coming down, right? Because the tributaries are falling. But with the new, flow releases out of the dam, there's plenty of water.
What are they doing there? I know Lonnie. I was talking to Lonnie like a week ago. It's too bad we don't have Lonnie here. But
that would be X-rated.
Like a week ago, I was talking to Lonnie, and he was super fired up about the flows. What are they doing over there? I don't necessarily understand it. I'm not a...
I've heard multiple things. I spoke with someone that said that Trinity Lake is so full that if they don't release the water they're releasing, then there could be damage done to the dam.
So they're just chuck full is pretty much what it is.
The initial plan was that matched flow to where down by Lonnie's house, Junction City area, if the flow reached a certain point, they were going to match that exact flow out of the dam to make up for silt that would supposedly cover up the salmon reds.
Just like mimicking like what a natural runoff event would be, I think is what they're...
I'd assume
so like... to match the flow from all the creeks and stuff coming in.
Well, just simulate, like if there wasn't a dam there,
right.
What would the flow be in Lewiston and Douglas City? So,
but wouldn't like it still be? I mean, okay, if you didn't have, that makes sense.
And that was the initial thing, but now
would it not still be a little bit larger? Obviously, the farther you get down and you have more water coming in from the creeks.
Absolutely. Yeah. All the immense amount of silt, though,
I
think was the worry for active salmon reds.
That actually does make a lot of sense. It makes sense.
That's that Trinity River restoration program.
That's what that is.
Spearheading it.
Another touching back on the fishing, though, what could have been considered the worst day of the year when Rush Creek blew out.
Right.
And it was very muddy, which is really high up in the river. There still was good fishing to be had in the small section of river above that, where there was cleaner water. And even down, a few miles below, and there still was a color line, there was fish to be caught there. So I truly would like to say that there hasn't been a bad day on the river this entire year.
Well, that comes down to just spending your time out there, right? I don't want to call anybody out or anything, but there was a guy, actually, this was the trip done yesterday and today, or yesterday and day before. The guy had booked with a guide, and his guide called him last week and said, "Oh, the river's big, like I'm canceling the day." And he called us and was like, "Hey, like what's going on with the Trinity?" I was like, "Man, the Trinity has been great. Like all the guys over there are having great days." And he said, "Well, I want to fish whatever. I think it was the 6th and 7th. My guide told me it was no good. Like the river is big. Are you guys still fishing?" I was like, "Dude, absolutely. We're still fishing it. Here's some pictures." So Lonnie took him out last couple of days and had a great day. But it just comes down to getting your reps out there, like you said, right?
It's a different program, but like going back to what DJ was kind of mentioning, it is impressive and amazing how fast the river comes back into shape. Like after it rains, like I've heard Lonnie talked about it, like 12 hours after it stops raining, doesn't matter how hard, it comes back in like relatively quick, which is cool and unique.
Yeah. Have you guys been fishing it kind of up and down, just chasing them, or have a certain area you've been spending most of your time? Or is that a secret? It's okay if it's a secret.
Everybody knows where DJ fishes.
I fish all over. I mean, recently I've spent more time higher up in the river, spending time in the higher sections of the river, but early season I definitely love going lower,
Yeah.
It really just depends on what you can do. Obviously, right now you're not going to want to be down in Junction City area. It'd be pretty intense down there, but yeah, all over. You chase them around and do different things to try and get away from people, as well as just stay where the fish are. So there's a lot of variables that play into what you're going to want to choose to do.
Having multiple vessels is nice now too, isn't it?
Yes.
Outfitted out. Rio Craft, got your adipose. You just need to get a Tundra now, and you can be a part of Team Tundra Pose.
Yeah. Having a raft kind of changes the game over there, doesn't it?
Well, right now we got the difference between kind of that early season low water program, where you definitely want a raft, so you're not banging and clanking as you're going into the riffle. But now it's kind of transitioned more of like the high water program, which is super fun because it's different, but a lot more engaging, and it's quick. You're hitting so many spots as you're moving your way down.
The raft definitely changes the game of how you can fish water at low water, but you'll never see me in a raft when I can take a drift boat down and I'm not going to destroy the bottom of it. I'll never be in a...
Why?
Because a boat to me is just much better. I mean, it back rows better. I can control it better. It takes a little less work, I'd say. More comfortable for the clients to be in.
Yeah.
Your gear's dry.
That's your home office.
Yeah.
Is in the drift boat.
I mean, if it is pouring rain, it is annoying to bilge water out of a drift boat. Unlike the raft where it self-bails. That's really nice.
Yeah, that part is nice.
Do you feel like when you're out of your drift boat and in your raft, do you feel a little bit like you're not in your zone? Like not in your, like you said, the drift boat's, I understand that, the drift boat being the home office.
Absolutely not. Yeah. I feel like a freaking phantom. You can be so quiet and sneak over spots where you can't put the drift boat in low water. So I definitely I feel just as good in the raft, but I'd rather be in a drift boat.
Yeah. I never rode a raft like on guide days, but I remember like if I was doing a walking way trip, it would always feel so strange because I would just feel underprepared. Like you still have all your shit with you. It didn't feel the same.
Your comfortability factor. I mean, but coming back from Alaska, I was in rafts there and I did so many walking way trips that doing a few coming back here, I felt very comfortable.
Did you guys, hold on, gotta get UPS.
Check, reroute.
Guy's got a pretty sweet mohawk.
Have him come in.
Oh, you're good. Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
We're going to get that hair dye.
Man.
He must have lost a bet, right?
Okay, we're good. We got our UPS back. Let's, rewards. Those are credit card bonus, like, your miles or whatever the hell, gift certificates, whatever. Yeah, did you guys row rafts in Alaska?
So we had these 8-foot NRS rafts that went in a backpack, actually.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we'd fly into, say, Moraine Creek, Upper Copper River, a few other places, and we backpacked them in, which was really brutal. So, I mean, we'd hop out of an airplane, take them out of the floats. I'd carry, like, oars, my cooler, my backpack with lunches on my chest, raft on my back.
Yep.
And then hopefully you had some guests that were capable of carrying some things. If not, you had to do multiple trips, because we used 2x6 benches that we'd NRS, like with the tie down, strap them as our seats.
Yep.
And then you had oar locks as well that got strapped down. So there was a lot of gear to hike in. Usually only half a mile hike. If you're really lucky, you get to set up at the airplane. Always what you wanted to have.
Got to, yeah.
But I mean, like Moraine Creek, you remember Pothole Lake? You had to hike up and over that bluff.
Berm, yeah.
That was about the worst one ever.
1,000%.
But yeah, and then you'd drop in there and we'd row down 5-mile float, sometimes shorter depending on wind or stuff like that.
Or down to the lake and get picked up at the lake usually, right?
The straightaway above the lake, because that water gets really slow. Yeah. Early in the season, we would get dropped in and taxi up the lake, and we just back troll leeches or swing leeches down there because all those fish before the salmon are in there are all right in the beginning. Yeah. They don't push up into the river until the salmon are there. Yep.
I remember Pothole Lake and that bluff very, very well. I did that a ton, and we did the same exact thing. You'd have the raft. The raft, like, packed into the frame was like 80 pounds, 85 pounds.
Yeah. And I would always pump my raft up, and then I would jump in it and slide down the berm to the river.
Oh, that's a good idea. I always packed it all the way down, up and over. That's actually, that. And then you had your guide pack, which was probably another 50 pounds or something.
Yeah. I mean, I ran a big old roll top backpack that had 3 lunches in it, chips, a couple waters, whatever. I had a cooler with some stuff, and then I just had like a waist pack that I'd usually strap onto the backpack. So it was like kind of one unit, but definitely wasn't light. And like you're 92 days in, you're a little exhausted. You're a little tired.
That was I remember I had a day there. It was the biggest trout I ever saw when I got it in Katmai was on that river. And it was that day started poorly. I had a couple guys that were older, so I didn't have help. Going over the berm, I had everything, and one of the guys, Emmett, he had fell down, coming like down the berm there.
Not only did you not have help, you had to help them.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it was just like a bad start to the day. But he ended up catching. I don't remember the exact like dimensions, but it weighed out to being like a 13-pound trout.
Oh my God. They're just slobs.
Yeah, it was huge.
I mean, they could be 25 inches long, but like you could stretch it out to 40 inches if you wanted to. They're so fat.
Yeah, the coolest fish I've ever, coolest rainbow trout that I've ever touched.
Gluttonous,
yeah. He wasn't as stoked as I was. I remember that was like the thing that bummed me out. Is he didn't really even care.
He's already been to Patagonia.
He was like, I was so fired up, right? 23 years old, like kid from, the Central Valley in California, and seeing that fish, I was, especially after like the day, like he didn't move around very, it was hard. Like it was just a lot to get him into that fish. And we landed it, got our pictures, released it. I'm like shaking, super happy. It's like, Emmett, dude, right on. What a fish. And he was like, yeah. I've caught bigger ones than that.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, fuck me then. Anyways. But yeah, that's a little different. Those rafts were small, and it's a little different. I mean, you don't have to bring as much gear anyways. You're just pitching beads in the water.
Yeah. I mean, not really any fishing from them either. I mean,
no, it's just to get from one spot to the next.
Transportation sometimes. And the back trolling, which is not really much fly fishing, but on Kulik or something, it's very fun to watch that line go tight. And sometimes you swing it. It's like pulling plugs out of a.
Oh, dude, we did that
rod.
Like around the mount, like where the Kulik dumps into Non-Vionic Lake. There, we would do that early season. We would just drag full sinking and just catch those big. Dude, there's huge lake trout in there. We also would pull out spinning rods and just troll daredevils.
Oh, the mighty Mackinaws.
Holy shit, dude! Some of those lake. Anthony, I think he did. I don't know if the record still stands, but he was in his boat. The guy caught the lodge record, Laker. I don't remember the poundage. It was something crazy.
On a daredevil.
On a daredevil, the red and white daredevil.
That's time tested. That dog will hunt.
Dude, we would catch a ton of Lakers up there early season, tons.
Bead fishing, first ever pegged bead was there.
At Kulik Lodge.
But Kulik Lodge, the first ever pegged bead.
They
Greg
talk
Ziegler.
about it. Yeah, they are very proud of it at Kulik Lodge. One of their guides was the first one.
Put an end to the glow bug.
Peg a bead.
You love a good glow bug.
Sure. Yeah, those things will stick in their teeth pretty
There's
good.
as
very
well.
much a time and a place for a glow bug. Very much.
I'll peg the yarn right above the hook.
Yeah, I like that rig.
Yeah.
I like that rig.
If I'm fishing behind actually active spawning salmon to trout that are eating them, then an egg is going to outfish a glow bug. I feel like 9 times out of 10. But if you're steelhead fishing, just searching through dirty water, it's just something bright, and like you said, it's sticky.
Oh yeah.
A hard egg, I think, is very close to the same exact weight of an actual salmon egg. I think that they are mimic about the exact same weight in the water.
Sure.
So they're very realistic.
They're a little bit. So one of the things that at Kulik that was the first place I ever pegged beads. You can just wrap. I mean, we just fish 10-pound Maxima everywhere there, so you just double Maxima through it, and it would hold. But now they make those rubber peggets and stuff.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
The toothpick was what they always tell me, peg it with a toothpick.
Give it a little buoyancy.
Because it would add, the theory was it adds a little bit of buoyancy and makes it look a little bit more natural. I mean, up there it didn't matter. I don't know if it's different now.
Well, it's years since I think the amount of pressure now,
yeah.
The lodge I was at, because I was wrapping it when I first got there.
Right.
And the head guy told me, he's like, if you peg it, it's a lot more realistic.
Yeah.
Even though I was using 2X most of the time.
Yeah.
They thought that they could see the line on the.
For sure. I'm like I said, I mean, it's been 12, 13 years since. I'm sure it's harder fishing now. There's maybe less fish around. I don't know. Not that it was super easy every day, but it was always. I mean, compared to here it was disgusting.
Well, different environment with those fish. They got a short feeding window.
They have to eat, man.
It's a cold winter.
Yeah, they'll get gluttonous though. I mean, they'll eat so many eggs that you'll see them jumping out of the water trying to move the eggs down in their gullet. And that's when you got to get funky, and find a bead that no one else is fishing or a bead that they aren't seeing all the time.
That was the glut is a big deal. Like on the Kenai where we do our trip this year, like that's a big thing. Like it seems like every year when we get there in September, on the upper Kenai, like on a year like this year where they had a just insane amount of sockeye. Like when we first started fishing up there, guys were like, yeah, dude, like we need some like water to push through and wipe some of these eggs out because it's just too much and the fish are full. They don't want to eat. They get all gluttoned out. But yeah. That's Alaska. It's kind of speaking of the egg thing. Like, is that what you boys are fishing on the Trinity or fishing bugs? Or
right
is
now,
that a secret too?
I don't know if there's a ton of secrets that everyone doesn't already know there. I mean, I'm really young and don't have an extreme amount of experience, but I mean, I think when the water gets pretty high, you're going to want to fish some beads. I mean, I think Steelhead instinctually eat beads, but when the river's really low, early season, there's not an egg on my rig for quite a while. I'm getting down to even size 16, 18 nymph.
I think that's super cool. Like being able to fish like a pheasant tail for a
steelhead.
Well,
that's that early season low water program. Those fish act much more like trout.
For sure.
They're kind of holed up in the deep water. They're not really moving up a lot. Whereas high water, totally different scenario.
It does kind of change, like the early season, it's warmer. And they're a long ways from the ocean as it is, so they're generally going to be. I mean, overall, if we're just talking Trinity River steelhead, their behavior is a lot more trouty all year long or in the winter than say if you would drive 4 more hours and fish the eel.
Extremely.
It's not even the same species really.
I mean, they definitely key in on small bugs. Like you'll find one small bug that works far better than another. Because they are eating caddis or mayflies, whatever, at certain times.
But yeah, I mean, in the months we get to fish over there, like there is almost from what essentially like some years late August, but generally like September through early March is kind of the window when we do most of our fishing over there. There almost is like 2-3 different seasons in that couple months. Like the early season is buggy. I know like Lonnie talks about fishing dry flies quite a bit, and there's not maybe a ton of adults around that time of year, but there's still a lot of us. Like,
dude, the dry dropper was a lot of fun in the early season. I know for me, like especially with like the low water, you'd have like a lot of stuff where like you just couldn't fish the bobber. It was too like a long flat, you know what I mean, where it's kind of shallow. So bust out the dry dropper, in a couple of different spots, and yeah, man, those half pounders, they smack that chubby Chernobyl. You get some nice fish on the dropper as well. So they'll eat dry flies out there. Not so much right now. Water's kind of too cold for that.
Yeah, well, I'd say once we once we get into this time of year, which is dead of winter, like you're not doing that. You're not really swinging. I mean, I'm sure there's guys out there swinging.
When it's raining, it seems like that program will work. But when the water's cold, those fish are just in deep water. Yeah. Just not really.
I mean, any type of fishing you want to do, if you were to go out there and swing flies for a week, you'll catch a few fish
for sure
on a big intruder or something, but you're just not going to catch near as many as you would on eggs or bugs,
No. Maybe, what about early season? Do you think like in September you can probably get the same numbers swinging as?
Yeah, I mean, even like skating flies. Yeah. You'll get flies to come up and go up a skater.
Those fish are way spicier. Like that time of year with that warm water, they're up in fast water.
Yeah. They're super trouty.
Yeah.
They're super trouty.
Yeah, but it's kind of a different fish. I feel like now we're getting into like more of like the winter fish where those fish aren't really hanging out as much. The water's up, they're moving. And that's why that high water program, it's really engaging because you're fishing a lot. It's like, and it's all like, a lot of it's just like one pass kind of situation where it's like, all right, we got a right sider coming up for 30 yards, pitch it in, get ready. And then it's like, boom, heading over to the next little soft edge. So it's different.
A lot more intensity right
now. That's I always back when I was rowing a boat a lot, I always loved that. Like, like out here on the Sac, even when the water's big, for the most part, like we can recycle most of the fisher spots over and over again. So it's kind of like, there's not a lot of intensity to it. You can screw a run up and it's like, cool, man, let's pull over. We're going to untangle, chill for 5 minutes and we'll go do it again. And if we don't do that one right, like we're going to, we can go do it over and over. When you're fishing somewhere where you don't have the opportunity, it's a lot more engaging because you can kind of have that conversation with your guests. Like, hey, like we get one shot here. Either we do it right or we don't. If we don't do it right, we're for sure not going to catch one. If we do, we might. And then like if you get guys locked into that, right? Where everyone's like, oh shit, okay, here we go.
Yeah, get the program
Let's
down.
lock it in and work as a team. That's super fun, I think.
I'm an intense person, so I
Yeah.
can't get enough of it.
You do. So
Yeah,
I've never been in
I
the boat with
can't
you.
get
You
enough
bring
of it.
intensity in the boat, don't you?
I mean, I get very excited, you know. I'm especially knowing what's there from being there, you know, if you're on a bunch of days in a row and you know what's happening, and just bringing that energy to people who say are very calm, you know, you see some excitement, and you feel like you bring out parts of people that they don't show all the time that
Yeah.
I feed off of, and then we feed off of each other, and then great things happen, you know. The energy of the river brings up your energy, and then everyone gets fired up, and that's what I like to do.
Well, it's that chance that, like, I mean, really for a lot of people, other than your boy up at Potluck or whatever, who wasn't happy with that big fish, but you could get like a fish of a lifetime every time out there. And that's like, I hear that and like feel that same energy too, you know, like it's a little bit more, just a little more intensity, but like it's fun. You know what I mean?
Travis and I were just on a group trip together, and it's fun, you know. I mean, you're not fishing super close to each other, but you're within a holler distance to where they can yell at each other, and you could yell at the other guides, and all like if our boat hooks a nice fish, then our energy rises because his buddies are excited, and
For sure.
then it's fun, you know.
That's-
DJ had the
that's
single, he had the stick. I had my hands full. I had my hands full that day, but we found a couple. That was sick though when we like anchored up after you know multiple tangles already. Like they hooked like a good one, like right in front of the boat. And right now at the high water program,
Right off of his oar.
yeah, pretty much. Like it almost jumped at our boat. I could have netted it.
That's awesome.
But it was kind of fun. But yeah, that high water program is just a little bit more engaging. And that's the other thing too about like crowds. You know, there's people around, especially it's limited spots you can fish right now. The river's kind of opening up, but it's all one pass stuff. So it's not like
It doesn't-
You're
doesn't
never
be
stacking together too
Yeah,
bad.
that's actually nice because I know. I mean, the Trinity. I mean, they limit the number of permits they give out, but still, there's a lot. And this year, I know everyone that has one is using it because nobody's fishing the Klamath,
exactly.
obviously. So there's been a lot of boats out. But yeah, that is true. It's nice that it's a big water year because in
It
big
helps.
water, fishing at like a river like that doesn't feel crowded as opposed to when it's low and there's a few spots to get them and you got 3 boats, you know, recycling the same run. That's awful.
And I personally, I like to go down to in the lower river when the water's high to go fish higher water at times,
Yeah.
but I've never fished up by Lewiston at 1500,
Yeah.
which is a great new experience. And, you know, you hook a 20-inch fish, a 16 to 20-inch fish, and I've multiple times this year yelled, oh, it's got to be a real one. It's got to be a real one. You know, it's
Right.
rip and drag, and it's doing its thing, and you get it in, and you're like, what is that? It's a 16-inch fish.
He just had
you know?
all that current with him. Well, that's the
Yeah.
cool thing about obviously guiding for years is eventually you see most of it, right? And you build your repertoire, and you like a guy like Lonnie who's guided out there for 30 something years. Like there's nothing new for him to see. He's seen it. Well, there is, I guess, with a lot of the maybe stuff that happens over there as far as habitat and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure if he was sitting here, he'd probably say something different. But I mean, you know, he's essentially seen it all. Like he's not scared, or he's not ever like, no matter what weather, no matter what, he's can probably like recall back on a day. But
The river itself, though, like, you know, where spots are now shallow that were deep and
Yeah.
stuff, he's talked to me a lot about that kind of thing. He's like,
Yeah.
back in the day, this run was the one, and now it's nothing, you know.
for sure, it's got to be a help. I mean, obviously, you guys spend a ton of time out there, and you guys are fishy, so like you learn it. You spend time out there, you pick it up pretty quick. But it's got to be beneficial to be able to like give a guy like Lonnie a call after a shit day.
Oh yeah.
And just get his thoughts.
Absolutely. The best thing I've ever done is, you know, the legends that have been on the river for so long is instead of trying to push to stay in front of someone like that
Yeah.
because you're scared, is hop in right behind them and
Get behind him.
and pick up on some of their game.
For sure. Don't stay too close, though. Don't
No,
stay too
no,
close. You
no.
might make
Yeah.
him mad. I had that with Lonnie. I've told him this too. Back 13 years ago out here, I was following him down the river one day. He pulled over and like motioned me to come over. He's like, "Why the fuck you following me down the river?"
Just like that. I'm sure he
yeah.
said it just like that.
Exactly like that. Who the fuck are you? Anyways, we've been good friends ever since. But I wanted to ask you guys both something. DJ, you said like you get fired up because you were there yesterday and you caught so maybe you caught a really good fish there yesterday. So the next day you're out there, of course you're fired up. Do you tell your clients that or not? Do you be like, hey, we got a good one here yesterday, lock in?
The absolute worst thing I think to do is if you have a really good run coming ahead is hype it up.
Yeah.
You know, I might, hey, in the next 15 feet, we'll get ready. You know, if we're in the raft, move your fly line over to the left side. Get ready to make your cast to the left, but you don't want to overhype a run because that's when both guys cast right into their rod tip.
Yeah.
So, but in my head, I'm very excited, you know, and I'll definitely hopefully before that have them excited to get it in early. You know, you can cast in the shallowest of water right now before the run and it shouldn't snag.
Yeah.
So you can get it in quite early so that your line's down there. You have a great drift going. But the answer is definitely no.
So you don't try to get them hyped up. What about you, Trav?
Yeah, well, you make that mistake a couple of times, and then it doesn't happen, or they dangle, and it's just right now, especially the fish move a lot. There definitely are spots that are okay, we should get one here. But yeah, I agree with DJ for sure. You don't want to let them get over their skis. Just try and keep them in the rhythm, and it's just another run basically. They should be trying to fish them all their best.
Yeah.
Once you learn the river, almost every spot going down is a good spot to me now.
Yeah.
Every single one, I'm excited for the entire river, because eventually you catch one almost everywhere.
If you're fishing it hard and doing it right.
Yeah, and some days you'll go, okay, I caught one here, let's try this. But the high water, it's basically the soft seams. I fish that left side soft seam. Maybe I can fish the right first and somehow get my boat up into that one to fish both sides.
Do it all.
Try and comb it out.
Yeah, that's another thing that's fun, though, about just the high water. It's a completely different river.
Yep.
Because, not a lot of people have been able to fish it at 2 grand like this up in Douglas City, Lewiston. But it's like learning a whole new river, and you're doing these long floats, which is kind of
so
sick.
much water.
We went. Well, we were going to go Old Bridge to Indian, but
Brush Creek to Indian. That was a good day.
Yeah, there was a lot of boats.
How many miles is that?
Bridge.
I don't know, maybe 14.
Yeah,
miles.
It goes quick though.
It's a sand. Yeah,
it's a nice ride. That's what's fun about the floats. I did a JC float a couple weeks ago when it was just over 1,000, and it's a nice pace of the day because you're moving. And getting to cover a lot of water.
And you can fish. I mean, I caught some great fish in some side channels recently. You could go through water that you'd never be able to get a boat through.
See, that's what I remember about the lower Sac last spring when we had big water. That was some of the coolest stuff. Where some of these side channels that were basically dry gravel bars.
Absolutely, yeah.
And months before, and then
there's no fish in the side channels on the Sac. There's
never.
none. Stay out of them.
I know. I've never got one in there.
Stay out of them. There's no fish in there. But yeah, that was always the game in the spring. Whenever I started gutting, we always had consistent water. You were in the side channels half your day.
Mm-hmm.
Walking or doing. I like getting out and walking them. It's really fun.
I mean, I do too. It's rare that I would get. No, I don't want to say frustrated, but you can fish so much more efficiently from the drift boat. Obviously, with a guest who's maybe not. It depends on the guest, right? But maybe somebody who doesn't do a ton of fishing,
Also, when you have a 7-foot leader.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to do on foot. But, anyways, going back to the Trinity. Yeah, so you don't like to get your clients hyped up. I like to. I would be come on, boys. I caught a 2-footer out here yesterday.
There's a happy medium.
Get your shit ready.
There's a happy medium.
Lock it
this one should be good, but I'm not going to be we caught a 28-inch fish right here, because then they're going to be all.
I guess it depends on the people.
Yeah, for sure.
Which, with the big water, it probably, the Trinity's never a place for new anglers. You always want to be able to at least done a few Sac trips or trips where you've pitched a bob around. But in the big water, especially, you kind of don't. There's not as much room for error. Absolutely,
but by the end of the day, I feel like the amount that you learn in a day at high water.
Yeah, because you're fishing a lot.
Yeah, you're fishing a lot. It's I don't tend to super dredge it, but it's definitely deeper and heavier than my normal Trinity rig.
Yeah.
And you have to roll cast there. So people are getting really good at roll casting, mending, high sticking. Yeah. There's a lot of technique that is taught.
And you're fishing, you're fishing most of the day too, right? There's not a whole lot of times where it's hey, hold them up. We're going to push for the next 400 yards.
Not at all.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. That can kind of, whenever you're fishing all day long, people tend to be locked in. For sure. Or get tired and need a break.
You're not going to get lucky like you will at low water.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, the drift wasn't the best, but they're in this one little section. They ate it on a drag or something. I feel like right now, if you don't do what you need to do to get your flies in the zone, I make a really big deal of that. I'll pull over and be we have to figure this out because we'll waste some time. If not, you have to make it happen.
1,000%. That's so important, right?
Yeah.
You can't just go through the motions. It's easy to just be that cast was a 7 out of 10, whatever. Let's just let it go.
Ride.
But you got to
you can't. They got to be 10 out of 10.
Yeah, stack mend it into the willows over there, and that's where it's gonna get eaten.
So much of it though is a lot of people most of the people that you fish with, they're not out there every day or every week or every month. They're doing a couple trips a year. So a lot of it's feel. And like, especially the high water program on, the Trinity right now is like, you're getting so many reps.
Yeah.
That, like you said, by the end of the day, like people are getting, they have an opportunity to definitely.
Quite humbling too, when you think you got it going on. And then in the first 15 minutes, you're like, whoa, this water's moving fast. I can't roll cast this rig. And
for sure.
Yeah. I missed that run.
That was always, that's for me, that's like one of the more fun parts about guiding too is, right? Like, so if you have new folks, right, that you've never met before, you chat with them, like you have a decent idea, right? And in your mind going into the day, like you have your game plan, right? This is what I'm going to do today. And then you don't know though, until you get in the boat and you see that first cast, like, okay, all right, do we have to adjust our game plan slightly or do we stick with original game? But throughout the day, you might change like the plan a handful of times. And that was fun. It's like, kind of feel like, you're on the sidelines.
It's those
NFL
first
game.
30 minutes
Yeah.
that you're really evaluating kind of like what your day is going to look like and how you need to kind of tailor that day.
For sure.
Just to, make it work and make it a good experience,
It makes every day. And even with the water changing like it does, the other day when I came down to Rush Creek and it was blown out, I went all the way down to my takeout and went back up. Every day's an adventure. I feel like the more, like, if you're able to run and gun, it makes it really fun,
Posse to
it's like a mission. You're like, all right, we're on a mission today to catch some fish, and this plan didn't work, so switch it up.
What are the qualities of a guest that you're looking at that are going to make the day more successful for you? That's a question that I have. Obviously, like, ability is always going to be there, right?
It's all about emotions, I think.
There you go. Yeah.
A lot about emotions. If you emotionally are beating yourself up, like, oh man, I reeled the wrong way on this fish, or I tangled up for the 82nd time, and you're not willing to go take a deep breath and go, okay, let's figure this out, because it's possible.
Yeah.
It's not like you just have like a fly fishing disability. You can do it if you try hard enough,
Most
people. And just being able to reset, whether you whatever they have to do. If you need to go out and take a walk, it just because if they're really upset and they're not willing to try, and it's all about having a good time anyway.
For sure.
I could care less if you broke my rod in 8 pieces and it all was tangled up. I got a spare. We can retie. You're not going to upset me, but if they're upset, it just kind of is a bummer to me that we can't work through it.
So being able to shake off mistakes.
Yeah, shake it off.
For sure.
Shake it off, because I'm not mad at you. You're mad at, I feel like some people, they apologize. I'm sorry for tangling it up again.
You're good, brother.
And it's like, it's all good. Just don't be sorry. Get through it with yourself, and we're going to get better together.
Or like just mental health coach out there.
But that's huge, because I know what you're talking about.
Well.
Yeah. You don't, if somebody crumbles because they broke one off or cast into the fucking trees or something, like, don't crumble. It's okay.
Yeah,
trust me.
I see a lot of head nodding.
Yeah. We've all done this. We have all screwed up plenty. And like you said, you can learn it if you want to. I learned how to do this. It can't be that fucking hard.
Absolutely.
What about, so.
I feel like you'd rather have that client that feels bad than, the guy that's in the trees all day, and then he hands you the rod and doesn't say anything, and he's looking at his phone. And you're just like,
There are two sides of it for sure. Right? But that one's a lot less rare.
Well,
a lot more rare, that.
90% of the people, I would say, at least, are just out there to have a good time. They're just happy to be outside experiencing something real, and it's all good. It's all gravy.
Just being coachable.
There's so many variables, like you saying that, especially. There's like you said, there's people that don't care. The people that do get upset also, it's kind of cool because they want it so bad.
Yeah,
which is kind of cool. So I guess there's unlimited variables, but that's one thing is. I never like when I see someone beating themselves up over it.
Yeah,
it's been a lot of couples. I feel like even this winter, there's been couples out there, and just it's a cool spot. It's a cool venue, to get to meet, introduce, or meet people.
It for sure.
Oh man, these people become friends of a lifetime. You share experiences with people that they never forget, and then you fish with them forever. And
they
call you on Christmas. Yeah, they call you on Christmas and Merry Christmas, and
absolutely. That's a good point. Yeah. Just the environment to kind of build a relationship with someone. It's always good. For the most part, it's always just really, really cool, really positive.
It's cool. It's cool for me because I'm 23, and a lot of people that I consider friends now, and they're like 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
You know, we talk
get
all
a
the
lot
time.
of.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's like they always say, "Oh, fishing guide, you're like a therapist too." But it goes both ways. I mean, maybe not like from a therapy side, but I can't tell you how many clients that I've met that have, they've obviously a lot older and been successful in life that have offered crazy amounts of advice at multiple different points in life, right? And that's really cool. Really cool. You meet a guy who maybe is a financial advisor. You end up saying, "Hey man, what should I do with this?" Or a guy that's a lawyer, maybe get into some trouble. You need to call it. But you know what I mean? Like it's really cool because we get to meet a lot of awesome people.
Immense amounts of knowledge. And most people are so cool. I've called and asked for advice, and I feel like they enjoy that as well,
Yeah, just being coachable, I guess, is all you're kind of looking for, right? That's a good.
I always like to say being like a sponge,
Yeah, be coachable. That's B-Man, one of our clients, Brian McGilligot. I might not be that best, but I'm coachable.
Can we do a shout out to B-Man?
B-Man, B-Man will 1,000% be listening to this.
Big shout out to B-Man for the banana bread and bacon the other day because that was super rad.
Banana bread and bacon for breakfast?
Just bacon on the river, yeah.
Wow.
B-Man is a legend.
I don't think I've met B-Man.
Brian McGilligot, real tall. He fishes with us quite a bit.
Just an epic,
does some
epic
hosted
human.
travel.
Epic human.
He's become a really good angler too. Whenever he first started coming, he was super new to it, and wasn't bad. Like he said, he was very coachable. And over the past probably 8-9 years now, he's a very, very good angler. B-Man is the man. What's up, B-Man? Being coachable, that's huge. That's huge. What if they're not? What if they're not coachable?
Sometimes you gotta
throw them in the back of the boat.
You gotta kind of like give them a little jab. You can't just sit there and take it all day. You gotta let them know, like, hey, this is our boat for the day. Yeah. And sometimes I feel like people appreciate that. Like, because they're probably not used to getting told what to do.
I always had a hard time with that because it's necessary. That was another good piece of advice from an older guide when I first started guiding. He's like, you have to take authority in your boat from the get-go. Right? You have to, it's your boat. Like you're the one that knows what you're doing. Captain. You're the professional and you have to kind of take authority. I had a hard time with that because I just tend to be a smart ass all the time and some people wouldn't pick up on that. And it would just come across like I'm being an absolute prick.
They weren't speaking your language.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, now what? I'm just going to be quiet. Cast left. Yeah. What about the fish this year? I mean, it seems to me from some pictures I've seen, pretty good sized fish this year, like overall.
Yeah, some very quality fish.
I mean, I feel like for a few years there wasn't a lot of fish over like 2 foot being seen in the Trinity. Like I feel like for a couple of years there it was like 20, 22, and then maybe lucky to see a 2-footer, which is still like an average thing. But I feel like there wasn't a lot of those like 26 to 28 to even close to 30s being seen in the last few years. And this year I've seen pictures of quite a few.
Yeah, there's definitely some nice winter fish around. There's been days like, and I know you've had a couple of these days where it's like that's all you're getting, or just like if you're in them, you're getting those nice quality fish. But yeah, it's those winter fish, man. This is the game time for those big ones. Next, month or two.
What's the biggest one you've seen this year?
We got one at like 30.5 inches.
That's a good one.
Big wild buck, yeah.
Big buck, yeah.
Is that the one you didn't get the picture of, DJ?
No, I got a picture of that one. That day with you, that one was 29.
Yeah. You said it slipped out of his hands as he was taking the picture.
Oh, no, it was 33, but we didn't get to actually get a picture. Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
He dropped it. It's all good. We couldn't get out of the boat in that spot. I'd prefer to have taken a photo out of the water, but we didn't have a spot to get out of the boat. And
those things are hard to land, dude, like let alone hold them. But like you hook, a handful of 30 inchers every season. But
Bubba Nets, baby. Bubba Nets.
Bubba Nets? That's the brand? Bubba?
Bubba Nets is what I like. Real deep basket.
Bubba Nets, you listening? Shout out, plug.
Shout out.
DJ will take some free nets, please. Thank you. I never heard of Bubba Nets. What makes it so special?
I mean, I like what's the other net as well for like lower sack and stuff, has a great basket on it. Walker, I forget, but Bubba Nets just has a really deep basket. It's still a rubber net.
Yeah.
Has the telescoping handle. That's what I like to use because you can land them and then they always are in the water.
Yeah.
Like compared to some shallower nets, I think it's a great net.
A deep basket, especially from a drift boat, is a necessity.
Gotta have it.
Gotta have
So
the
you can
deep.
set the net on the side and the fish stays
Yeah.
in the river.
Yeah.
Just the best net I've found. I mean, when I first started, it's only been like 3 years now, but I had used the same net for trout and for steelhead, and I definitely have had some of the best fish I've ever seen flop. Like I land it in the net, and then we're taking the fly out or something, and it flops right out, and
I've seen
like
that
a
net before. A
total
lot of
idiot.
people have that red
Yeah.
net with that black shallow basket
Yeah.
from the local shop.
that is so my heart's never dropped like that before. It goes from hero to zero so quickly.
Right
No.
now, it's crazy though. Like you can't anchor everywhere
You can't.
because the river's cooking. So landing a fish definitely becomes, especially like a big one, becomes a little different situation than you might be in when the water's low and kind of slow.
You got to play it very smart, you don't want to make too quick of any decision. I'll try and just buffer for as long as I can and scan as hard as I can to make the correct decision. You go drop it into the next round and the fish jumps into a bush or something.
Yeah.
And you're screwed.
Buffer and scan. I like that.
That's good terminology, because I think we all do that, right? But that's really good. You're buffering scan, because you're constantly looking for trees and just shit, right? So you can give guys a heads up, like, hey, there's a tree, 20 yards. Don't let them go into that fucker.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And what's great about, like we talked about being on the water every day, is you probably do as well. I basically know every single snag in the run, which is great for, you could lose 100 rigs or you could lose none if you
say
play
that's
it's
always nice once you get a ways into the season for the pocketbook, because you know where you're going to lose shit.
Changes every damn year, though.
And that's the thing. It kind of makes it fun.
Well, it's super dynamic because there's a lot of gravel that moves. Like just seeing the Indian Creek ramp change as much as it has the last couple of years, where there's just a lot of gravel that moves through there along with.
Has there been gravel
trees.
brought in there like they've done out here, like habitat gravel being dumped in the river?
Right above Grass Valley Creek last year, I remember a loader dumping big rocks in the river rocks, though. Not spawning gravel. River rock, which they think is spawning gravel, but.
Well, like all the spawning gravel they dumped in here, and then they cranked the flow up to 50K.
Or drop the flows out, but that's probably another conversation.
It'll be interesting when the water goes down, driving out on that gravel bar at Indian Creek. It's always interesting every year.
Yeah, but we'll see. It sounds like...
What's the spot where Darren sunk his Forerunner? What's that place called? Do you know?
I have no idea.
I try not to bring that up.
I love bringing it up.
People know about it. It's funny.
The picture got millions and millions of views.
Sure
Was it just his whole rig in the river?
Did you ever see the picture?
I've heard about it. I've never seen the photo.
So Darren was pulling his boat out. This is back when he drove a silver Forerunner. He was pulling his boat out. I don't know where it was.
It has to be like Dutton or something steep. I can't think of any boat ramp
but
steep
the thing
enough.
it wasn't though.
Something
it wasn't.
with his truck didn't go into park or
So
something.
he backs his trailer in, everything's fine, throws her in park, emergency brake on. Darren's a pro, and he's winching his boat up, grabs his boat, and it's his boat. So his boat's hooked up to his winch strap, and he said he got a couple turns in, and his shit started moving. So he got out of the way and went, and he said his first thought was try to get in and get on the brake, but it just kind of happened so fast.
Jesus.
It all went in the water. So Forerunner rolls back into the water, trailer and everything, and it's sitting there at the bottom of the river facing upstream, Forerunner and trailer. But the boat, since it was
floating,
connected to his
right?
trailer, through the winch strap, the boat's just floating right above it. So he didn't.
Gnarly.
His
the boat.
His boat was fine. It was just sitting up there. He snapped that picture, and the best part is the headlights were still on. So completely underwater, headlights still on. I still remember that. He called me about I don't know how long after, but he said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Nothing, man. Just sitting around." He said, "You want to take your boat off your trailer and just drive over here with an empty trailer?" And I was like, "Why would I need to do that?" And he just sent me that picture. I said, "Yeah, dude, I'm on my way."
That's terrifying. I hope that never happens to anybody.
So
again.
it turns out it was transmission failure, right? It just didn't engage into park, and his parking brake was set, but it was most likely worn. I'm sure all of our parking, if you have an older car, the parking brake probably just doesn't work anymore. You just don't know it. But yeah, he was. There was nothing he can do. It's just a crazy situation.
Tow truck came and pulled the rig out and told
Yeah,
him.
that's
Yeah,
a
I
whole
don't
nother-
remember exactly. I remember Steve Townsend helped him out. He has dive equipment. He
rigged it up for him.
Yeah, dove down there and put chains and stuff on it. And then I don't know if it's a tow truck or how they got it out, but they got it out, and there was no repercussions as far as any
to the river.
environmental things like that. And insurance took care of him, and he got that Tundra that he drives now, and it all worked out well. And it got a great picture for the internet.
Have you ever had any boat ramp mishaps?
I have never had any boat ramp mishaps. I've lost an anchor on the river before, more
I
than
have
once
as well.
actually. I
Yeah.
did it. I've done it out here guiding more than once.
I've done it probably 2 or 3 times.
And
Just
then
leaving my foot on the kick, and it just goes all the, like with a swivel. And the
Yeah.
whole rope will come out.
I did that this
twice.
summer in Alaska in Anthony's boat.
Whoops.
Fishing with Anthony, like,
Rope
especially
and all?
rowing, like fishing dry flies. Anthony is he gets intense, and we're floating and we come up on a flat. The river was bigger than normal, the Missouri, and we're going to drop the anchor, and I dropped the anchor and just like kept letting rope out, like to stop the boat. And I carry a super long anchor in my boat, and he carries like a 12-foot fucking anchor
It's
rope.
been spliced like 5 times.
Yeah, because
probably.
he doesn't want to spend the money on new rope. Anyways, I didn't realize how short his rope was, and I wasn't paying attention. Next thing I realized, the rope was just gone. I was like, oh shit, dude, sorry.
She gone.
But no, I'm trying to remember if I've had any, I haven't had any boat ramp mishaps. Nothing. I've always good about getting the boat in and out. Truck's always in good shape. But I've just lost anchor. I've lost an anchor before, but that was never a big deal. I remember one time I was with Justin White. He helped me find a big ass rock, and we just taped, roped. I still have my anchor rope. We just tied it to my anchor rope, and I just used a big ass rock.
I definitely have left it in reverse and had the parking brake save me once. Vividly remember that moment. Getting back in and going, oh my God.
So your truck was in reverse, but you slapped the parking brake on, so you were good?
Yeah, I think there was something in between. My shifter was in the center. I think there was I don't know, some Zin cans or water bottle or something, and I ripped it up, which I thought was all the way, and it just gunk, hit.
I've never had that. I've never had really any thing that freaked me out.
I remember seeing you. I think you were fishing my boy Jess, but we were all at Aqua Golf one morning, and it's fun at the ramp sometimes.
For
everybody's
sure.
there. You want to get out and say what's up, chat it up. And I remember you get out of your truck and you come to say what's up.
Oh shit!
And
yes,
your truck's still rolling forward.
It's still
And I'm
moving.
all,
Same
DJ.
thing.
This
Neutral.
was kind of sounding like a pattern.
Yeah, it's
I
definitely a mechanical
also think
issue.
it may be a mechanical issue on the rig.
Oh yeah,
Sure,
transmission
totally.
issue. Yeah. I mean, a mistake like that, once you make it once, you won't ever make it again. That's for sure.
Hopefully, ideally.
But I mean, I've seen more than one car end up in the river at these boat ramps out here.
Dude, there's 3 cars right below Bonneview right now.
Yeah.
There was one time I wasn't there. Darren told me the story. This happened to Lonnie, but he was launching his boat at Aqua.
This was recently. This last year. Someone lost a rig in Aqua Golf.
I think this one was a couple years ago, but Lonnie, you unhook your boat and you just kind of send it off your trailer, and it's still hooked up to your winch, so you can grab it. The winch strap broke, or he had already unhooked it, and he just sent his boat off the trailer, and it just boom out in the middle of the fucking pond at Aqua Golf.
Jeez.
I would have loved that because Lonnie was probably so fucking mad.
Yeah, I've experimented with different ways of launching.
Yeah.
And with the Clacka craft, it doesn't go very fast. So I would unhook the rope at the top, get it towards the end, and I'd jump in the boat, and it would just go poof, not a ways out. I did it with the Adipose to where I got it right to the end, and I jumped in it. I was in it luckily, but I went.
They launch if it has
way out.
the bottom, the UHMW bottom. Those things absolutely send it.
Well, it's the dual roller that just
Oh, that's
You're
true. If your
going.
clack trailer only has a single roller, yeah.
Yeah.
My clack was on a double roller trailer. It would go.
fancy guy.
It was a row drift boats trailer, but yeah, fancy, super fancy. Yeah, that boat lives in Alaska now, on the Kasilof. So yeah, how much longer are you gonna be fishing over on the Trinity?
I mean, definitely there'll be a springtime switch over to the lower Sac, but I personally, until I leave for Alaska at the very end of May, beginning of June, I'd love to fish there
You think
all the way through. Yeah,
You think you'd be fishing it through May?
absolutely. May time, I don't want to talk a ton about it, but there are definitely some great bug hatches
Yeah.
to be had and some different ways of fishing it, and some of my favorite fishing's in a t-shirt out there.
Yeah, I mean for sure it can be fished year round. There's no doubt about that.
Yep. But I mean, definitely.
But I think as far as the winter,
oh, absolutely.
adult steelhead thing, we should hopefully we get another couple storms and stuff. Hopefully into mid-March or something.
Yeah, it's still super early. There's going to be preset, but we definitely have that nice weather window right now.
Yeah, I definitely think that like you said, February, March, that's when it'll be coming to an end. But also that's when there can be some of the biggest fish.
For sure.
Every year that I've caught, I've been in that time of the year.
Yeah, I mean we're still in the prime of it. The next 8 weeks, next 2 months are still absolute prime time.
Yeah, I mean fish over 30 inches on the Trinity I've definitely caught all the time. But anything 32, 33, I think I've only caught at the end of the year.
Late season fish. Yeah. That's cool, man. It's a cool little. It's cold as hell over there. That's for sure.
Yeah,
But
it's
cool.
well, it's like you always, even from Redding, you look to the west and you can see that little saddle or the 299. It's like there's always fog. Like
I'm looking over there right now.
the
looking out this window.
mystique of the Trinity.
In that canyon just does not get
The
does
fog
not
never
get any
lifts.
sun.
Yeah.
There's no sun there. Yeah, you're just always in the shade.
It gets darker earlier as well. You know, like if
Yeah.
I'll look at the Caltrans cameras sometimes sitting at home here and it's light outside and it's much darker there.
Yeah.
Sun's setting over those mountains to the west.
Yeah,
there.
but you know what? It's like I feel like this year we had one little window where it was like cold. You know, it was like 23 degrees at 8 a.m. at Seal Bridge, and it's like, all right, this is cold. But it's like
always bearable if it's not raining, though. I
Well-
mean, because it often, I mean, it snows there sometimes, but it often is just a really cold rain, and that's the
Yeah.
only times where I've ever like been like, you know, smacking my arm, my fingers aren't working as well.
Yeah,
Only in
trying
the
to
rain,
warm up.
you know.
35, 36 feels nice now out there. It's like that does not feel cold anymore.
I guess it doesn't get as cold over there as it feels like. Because
Well, it's wet. It's usually like, it's a wet kind of.
is that the difference between there and like putting in up at Iron Gate on the Klamath?
Yeah.
Because that place, it never feels as cold, but I've put a boat in there when it's
my
like
God.
13 degrees
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, no, it's just it's a
gets
different environment. It's not as steep of a canyon up there at the Klamath, so
Yeah.
it, like you get to 10 a.m. and it's usually pretty
It
manageable.
feels warm. I'm usually in a t-shirt at the end of the day, even in January, February. But the morning up there is cold, or it used to be. I don't even know where we're going to be putting boats in whenever we get back to
I
fishing there.
can't wait to find
No
out.
idea.
I want to see it. I heard
I saw a video recently, and it was Cal Trout posted it. I don't know when they took it, but it looked good. It didn't look like I'd want to go fishing there. It's still like heavy, silty, and just dirty. But I mean, overall, it looks awesome. It's super cool. And I know they're saying really positive things about fish moving up there. So
yeah,
I got a
good spot for the raft. Upriver.
Having that
I mean,
raft up there now might be really cool.
The harder it is to put a boat in there, the better, I think. I mean, if you got to slide it down a hill,
Yeah.
only a few people are going to do it.
Not many people like launching their drift boat down the sides of hills.
I think I like it so much more.
You're so
Yeah.
much like Anthony.
Yeah.
Like you just listening to you talk about the way you fish. You're so much like Anthony. Anthony's famous for just launching his shit off of the side of a cliff.
Yeah, there's a place around here, a little more. We can't talk about too much, but there's a spot where the boat has been launched off of a couple cliffs recently. And it's one of my favorite
The
things.
new boat. You gonna treat the new boat that way?
No, we use my buddy's clack.
Yeah,
for that.
you have
Yeah.
your new boat now.
Yeah.
You gotta take care of it. They don't.
Oh no, the new boat gets. I never have really scrubbed the inside of a boat. You always just got pressure washed and it was fine. My last one for years. This one actually gets like a soft bristle scrub
You
down.
take good care of it?
Yeah, I get a little WD-40 on all the oar locks.
I wonder how long that'll last. It can't last forever.
Well, I mean, mine doesn't have that bottom on it, the super slick with Teflon.
Oh, right.
So I want to do that, and then I want to like wax it and I don't know.
Yeah.
I like having it really nice. I'm pretty stoked. You get ask Travis came the other day, and I was like picking out every leaf.
I was like that when I first bought that brand new boat, and then a year into it, it's like, fuck it, it's a boat. It's gonna get roached no matter what.
I know you were nice enough to let me borrow it, and I was like, let me pressure wash it, and you're like, nah. And you're like, fuck it.
Get the cover. I mean,
yeah.
my boat, they just literally sits on the side of the house collecting fucking leaves.
It's a good vessel though. Those are good boats for sure.
Epic
Those-
boats.
As long as it floats, it does a good job.
Yeah.
It floats, man. So yeah, man, good year on the Trinity, and we're just kind of right around the halfway point. Like we still have plenty of time to still go over there and catch a good fucking steelhead.
Absolutely. It's awesome just watching the river change and what's to come.
Yeah.
What the fish are going to do, the experiences to be had. I'm super excited. Like next 5 days I'll be there and super, super excited to do 5 days in a row.
And the sack too. I mean, I'm just going to say this because I'll probably put this up for people to listen to soon. Today's January 8th. The sack has fished really well the last couple of days. I know people maybe didn't think it had been good because it honestly hadn't been that great. We had a weird water event and some weird color stuff, but Devin was out yesterday or 2 days ago and had a really good day. You and Jarrett went out yesterday.
Yeah.
The sack is rocking right now.
Just seems like sometimes like that flow bump or just something to change the status
Yeah.
quo is all it takes for
And
that river.
it looks like they're going to stay consistent at 15. I mean, it's not going to go higher than 15. I wouldn't be shocked if it did. And coming down's not going to hurt it. So there's no reason to think the sack's going to get any worse for the next couple months either. It's only going to get better as the weather changes. But
It fished great up high for Jarrett and I. very fishable water.
Yeah.
And Devin was lower, and it fished great for him. So a lot of the river's fishing.
Yeah.
Great.
Devin had a great day yesterday or day before yesterday. Now that he's back in town.
The golfer boy.
He had a rough go to the tournament.
Was he at the preserve? Is that where he's at right now?
He was. He's back here now, but he played. It was a 3-day.
That's like elite.
It was a 3-day tournament. Yeah, he said it's a lot of collegiate D1 players were there. The winner won, I guess, it was at 3 under for 3 days. So it's it's a tough course.
Yeah.
Devin broke his driver on the driving range before his first round. His driver broke. So he had to play with his buddy's driver. So he said mentally he was out of it from the get-go.
I'm sure he was. Come on, Dev.
Oh, poor Devi. Yeah, Devin's a stud golfer. Cool, man. Thanks, guys, for coming in and chatting about the Trinity.
Right on. Yeah.
Let's go fishing on the Trinity, folks.
Yeah, baby.
Absolutely.
Cool. Right on. Thanks again, boys. Appreciate you.